Welcome back to Pour Over Marketing. I'm Rob Southgate, and we are back in the saddle. Thanks for joining me, everybody. Even though right now it seems to be just me and Chris that are here. That will change. More will join us. They always do. I've got lots of things I want to talk about today. So I'm going to probably jump right in. Let's do a couple of quick updates to things. One, and in fact, I'm going to pull it up while we're talking. I've talked before about coffee or I forget what the other one's called, Kofi or something, where you can support creators without having to do subscriptions or doing a very limited subscription. Way back, we set up a Buy Me Coffee for Southgate Media Group. And with that, we never quite figured out what to do with it. We did have a really fun idea way back then where we had some original content we were going to create. The problem was when nobody is subscribing to it, it gets difficult to do that kind of thing, right? Because making a podcast, doing the audio, I mean, it takes time, right? And if there's zero watching, you are much less likely to stick with it. So it's kind of been at the back of my mind. Like, I do want to do something there. I think it's a cool idea to have something that you do that only lives in a tiny space like that. Even if only people getting it are just getting it for free, it's this tiny little space outside of normal social media. So this week I came up with it. I know it might seem, I don't know. It might seem like a no-brainer to some people. Like, yeah, well, you could just create something like that. What I did was I'm trying to find it here, and I can't even find it. What I did was I did the very first, I'm going to do these posts on there that only live there. I figure it's a Southgate Media Group Buy Me Coffee. It's a way to support the network, and any little bit helps, right? And I know people that do stuff that are not creating at the level we are or the volume that we have that are having all sorts of subscribers on that kind of thing. So I thought, well, you know what? We've still got all this material. We're still putting things out there. I mean, there's still even new content, but the old content is getting repurposed. So I thought it would be smart. That was my cat chiming in. I thought it would be smart to do something there. So what I did was I came up with a bunch of questions for our podcasters, and I'm starting to reach out to them individually. People that haven't done it for a few years that were with us. I mean, we had an 11-year, now almost 12-year history of creating podcasts with hundreds of people involved. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool to just ask, hey, where are you now? How'd you get started? Just real simple questions. And I posted the first one. It was me answering the questions. And even me doing it, it was a nice exercise. It made me go, oh, yeah, this is kind of cool. I would subscribe to something like that. Now, am I telling you this because I'm trying to promote you guys doing, subscribing to it? No. I mean, yeah, that's always like, oh, yeah, support me right there. Support our show and buy me a coffee. And it actually does support this show when you do that. But that's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I'm always looking for opportunities that I can spread with you guys and share that make you go, oh, I can think outside of the box. What can I do that maybe offsets the cost of my podcast so that I can use my podcast as a marketing tool or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a podcast. I just brought that up because it's Podcast Network. So I just wanted to let you guys know that I did do the first post on Buy Me a Coffee. It's been like 8 years since we put that up and never did a post. Put the first post up. I'm anxious to put the second one up this week. I think I'm going to do weekly posts because at this rate, we could go 2, almost 3 years every week posting one of these and never run out of those types of questions. Already, I'm thinking of what are other things we could do that would be kind of unique to that space. That brings up, I've got 2 topics today. And before I jump into those topics, hey, there's a chat room on here. So if you guys have questions, if you have comments, get in there. Let me know you're here. Let me know what you're thinking about here. The marketing world is changing underneath us rapidly for those of us that are entrepreneurs, those of us trying to do it without, massive budgets to do, TV and magazine advertising, right? So 2 thoughts. 2 things I wanted to talk about today, not just 2 thoughts. One big one is I've been thinking a lot about the mix. And I think we've touched on this the last couple of weeks, but I want to go back to it and talk about this some more. So if you remember back in July, we did an integrated marketing palooza, which we're going to do again this year. Love it. It's so much fun. And we talked about having all the different threads and how you pull them together and you have an integrated, a singular message or an image or whatever. Okay. We're not going to go into what that is. If you want to look it up, look up integrated marketing or go watch the videos from Integrated Marketing Palooza. I'm going to be adding them to the New Media Lab YouTube channel. If you type in New Media Lab with Robert Southgate, there is a YouTube channel where this show does not automatically push there. I have the video versions of the show that I'm curating and putting there. So they have the show notes. They have everything that we need. It's not just, boom, a live feed. The live feed pushes to the Southgate Media Group page. I see Chelsea's here. I'm going to have to read what Chelsea wrote in a second. So anyway, you can watch those videos. I'm going to start putting Integrated Marketing Palooza on probably in the next week. I might add a couple of those. I've been kind of skipping around as to what I wanted to share. But what I want to talk about is not just strategy, but your mix. What is the mix of what you're doing? And this is why right now we're in this shifting sand in marketing. And it's important that you as an entrepreneur, you as brand you as the marketing guru of your empire, how's that for flowery? You are thinking ahead and you're thinking about what this mix is. I should probably come up with something clever for this. I don't have it yet. Let's read what Chelsea wrote. Then we'll go back to that idea. Good morning. I'm listening, but I got up late and I'm doing my yoga real quick, so I might not comment right away. My question today would be, what are the best 3 social medias now that I should get onto now that Meta is problematic and TikTok may be taken away? I already am thinking about YouTube and Blue Sky. Let me know. Chelsea, I didn't, but did I send you a note and say, hey, here's what I'm going to talk about today? Because that's exactly it. Okay. So we all know Meta is problematic. And if you don't think so, if you're going like, no, it's great, you're not paying attention. Forget politics. Put that aside. I wrote a blog post about this on Pour Over Marketing Substack. Put the politics aside. Look at what's happening in the culture of Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. It's problematic. There's an issue. And what we're seeing is a lot of people abandoning Meta entirely. This is what happened with Twitter. I know you say, yeah, but Twitter's still there. I mean, it's X now, but it's still there. Yeah, but it is a poisoned well. Most people left it or have abandoned it. So it's like sitting there like an empty shopping cart. And they go, yeah, but there's still all these people that are on there. Yeah, but they're not. They're not engaging. They're not clicking on things or posting, or they just have automatic posts going on. This is what's going to start happening with the Meta stuff. So what do? TikTok, great example. You mentioned TikTok in there. TikTok went away. 12 hours later, it's back. Yeah, but people that are active users on there have been reading a lot of the TikTok like marketers, and they're going, "Oh God, it's a dumpster fire now." It went away for 12 hours and they changed little things that have now made it toxic. And it was already toxic in some ways, but it was kind of a fun, interesting thing. And as a marketer, it was like, you know what, there is something here. I still agree that there's something there, but you know what? TikTok's not going to be the answer. So, and you've also seen people leave in droves. And that's going to continue. The shine is off the TikTok apple. We now see that there's a rotten core. Wow. I am full of metaphors and I don't know. I'm full of something today. Not enough coffee, maybe. Now more than ever, the future is indie. Let's remember that. So back to this idea. We know that Meta, which is Facebook, Threads, and Instagram, will likely become not a great marketing platform for you. TikTok, not a great marketing platform going forward, even though it's like, yeah, but it came back. Yeah. And a lot of people left and they're changing things. So what's going to happen? Things are going to step into the fold. We've already seen this. Blue Sky has skyrocketed. Blue Sky is working on a version that is right now. Blue Sky is very much more like the original Twitter, which was actually kind of exciting and fun to work with. They're working on a picture sharing version that is Instagram. See, what's cool about it is the Blue Sky thing is set up to not have the issues that these other social media platforms have. So it could have some longevity to it. There's a live video, or there's a video version of Blue Sky that they're trying to develop. This is all very quickly though. They're going like, wow, we thought we'd have years and now we have weeks as this stuff is all kind of collapsing. Yeah, here we go. First of all, Pierre, you're right. Yes, a lot of good metaphors. Not. Social media is also aged a bit. Harder to have a come follow me on a platform unless the moderation is protected. You are totally right, Pierre. Which is why when Chelsea, when you were asking, what do I do with social media? What are the best 3 social media outlets? And hi, Serena. Good morning. I responded to something you guys didn't see. There we go. Yeah, it's changing, right? And it's making me rethink a lot of things. Like I've already noticed my behaviors have changed. I used to post to Twitter all the time. I don't at all. I was starting to play with TikTok. I'm done. I'm out. With Facebook, Instagram, I use those a lot, and I'm still in there, but I feel like I'm searching for the escape hatch and how I can do it without losing content that I've created that I want to keep. And then I don't get that excited at Blue Sky because I feel like the social media, the value of the social media marketing is diminishing a little bit, even though I think it's a viable thing. Okay. So let's get into what this bigger thought is. I think what you have to do is you have to sit down and you have to write down a new mix. And when you write down this new mix, you need to think in terms of what can go away and what cannot. Yeah, Pierre, you're right. Meta has 3 platforms, so it may be a while before Meta loses considerable audience. Yes, I mean, Facebook, everybody has. Instagram, everybody has. But you know what? I can't tell you how many people I'm following that I'm friends with or that I just follow that are saying, I'm going to Blue Sky, I got 30 days, and then this is gone. even casual people are like, the drop dead date, the expiration date on this is August 1st. I'm done. So communicate with me now, but everything I'm doing here is going to Blue Sky or it's going to this other thing. So that on the personal side, it's tricky, right? And I do like using Messenger. I think that's been like, we could tweet, but Messenger is great. But who cares? Somebody else is going to do it. Once the seal is broken, other people figure it out. We've seen it how many times? Well, that's going to happen again. So when you say, what are the 3 that I should go with? From a social media standpoint, okay, let's go back. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place with this because there's a lot of thoughts going on. You need to take out a piece of paper. You need to write down my mix. And you need to come up with the options. Let's talk about a few of them. Hold on, Pierre. Very distracted today. Plus Meta's interest lies in AI at the moment, so there may be other levers revenue-wise. But Facebook is still the magnificent halo, so people leaving is significant. True. Younger people have left already. So when we're talking about the numbers on Meta and we're like, yeah, but it's great. They're not using Instagram the way they were using Instagram. It's a completely different way of using Instagram. That's where some of the younger people still are. Facebook, they're like, oh, it's an old person social media. Oops. When you're the old person social media, if the old people start leaving, you're over. Obviously, and unfortunately, history repeats itself. Yes, Jennifer. Yes. And if we're not aware of history, it will continue to repeat itself. Hi, Jennifer. Speaking of Jennifer, thanks for joining us your first time here. I want to point something out to Jennifer. So I'm having a private conversation with Jennifer right now. You may not know it, but that right there is the Chris puppet. He's on every one of these episodes with me. And I can't reveal a major announcement that I might be having in the next week or so, but he might be going with me on some other adventure. When Chris couldn't be at Live at the Blue Box, I made a puppet of him. And we'd put it up. And it's just very funny. Everybody, like, he would be like, oh, that damn puppet, right? We did a couple of shows after Chris had passed away, and the Chris puppet, because I do impressions of Chris, which cracked him up. I mean, this is all love, right? So that puppet, I would do impressions on the show of Chris, chiming in with what Chris would say. And I realized it's not the same without my best friend here. So, Jennifer, that's the Chris puppet. Although I had a Van Dyke for him because, Chris always had his Van Dyke. So yes, Chris is always right here with me. Okay, that was enough. Don't make me cry about my friend. Okay, so back to this idea of the mix. What we need to do is we need to look at this, take a piece of paper, put down my marketing mix. You know what you're trying to promote, whether it's brand you, whether it's I've got a book coming out, I've got a business, I have a car detailing place. I always say that one for some reason. I have a donut shop, I have a fence company, I have whatever it is, right? You still need to market, right? Especially if you're an individual and you are the in-house marketing, right? So what's your mix? If you go with what I see most of the time, this kind of alludes to or goes back to what Chelsea had alluded to when she said, what are the 3 social media platforms? What I see is a lot of people, when I say, what's your mix? They go, okay, well, it's Facebook, Instagram, and Facebook groups, or Facebook and Instagram. Those always come up, and YouTube. And you go, okay. I would actually challenge that Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, any of that is 1. We want to future proof. So we need to look at it in a different way. In fact, I might even have it on here. I wrote one on Substack. We're going to talk about Substack today. I wrote a note on Substack, and it's under pour over, and it's under notes, and or it's not. No, I don't know where I put it. Okay. It's here somewhere. Anyway, I talked about what the different types of platforms could be. So here's an example. Podcasting. Okay. That's one platform. Newsletter. That's a platform. You could say blogging is a platform, but I would say blogging and newsletter go in the same thing. Website. Platform. Email marketing. Ties to newsletter, ties to blog. Still, its own platform. Social media. That's Facebook, YouTube, or all those things. Actually, no, I'm not going to put YouTube there. That's Facebook and Instagram and all those. And then maybe YouTube or something like that. So instead of saying each social media platform is one thing, or each of these things is its own, make them categories. It's like we did with integrated marketing. We said what was kind of outbound, what was inbound, what were the different, like which one is print, which one is digital. And you need to create kind of a mix around this. Okay. So I don't mean you have to do everything. What I want you to do is I want you to write down your mix. And if your only category is social media, know that can evaporate, because what we're seeing right now, could very well. You saw how quickly TikTok was turned off. Same thing could happen in a different way, but it could happen with your Meta stuff. Maybe Meta doesn't go away, but the audience leaves it quickly, which is kind of happening. I was on Facebook today and every other thing was an ad. I just kept saying, hide ad, hide ad, hide ad, hide ad. And I was like, I feel like I don't want to be here. I'm not alone. So, what is your mix? And what are the things that you gravitate towards? So, I mentioned all like platforming type things, but your mix could also include things like public speaking, teaching, standing on a corner with a bullhorn, there's lots of different things that could be part of your mix. The key is think, how do I get the word out about what I do? Where is the audience for what I do? And how do I future proof it? Because if these things can go away, what can't go away? Well, what can't go away is your email list. It can if you're dumb about it. None of you were dumb about it. Trust me. So you have MailChimp or you have Constant Contact and you've been gathering some emails, right? In the beginning, it's small. You have 10 emails. Yeah, but these are 10 people that want to hear from you, that said, yeah, I'm signing up. I want to hear from you. And, oh, I just gave you permission to sell to me, right? So those 10 emails, yeah, they're in Constant Contact or they're in MailChimp. Guess what? There is a button there that says download file. So once a month, once a week, however much action you're having, download the file that has all the emails. Those are your emails. So wherever you email from, you still have them. Now, to be ethical about it, if somebody opts out, make sure they're off that list and make sure your stuff says, would you like to opt out? And you honor that. Be the ethical person, be the honorable person with these things, handle them properly. And you know what? They will bear fruit. I'm a big fan of email marketing. I'm a big fan of newsletter and blog marketing. I'm a huge fan, obviously, of podcasting. But we'll put all those things in a bag and say, what are the different things? What can I repurpose? So, like I mentioned at the beginning, I mentioned the buy me coffee. That is part of my mix. It's a very tiny sliver of my mix, but I'm exploring this idea. I want to draw attention. I have a goal. Always have a goal, right? I have a goal to for the original network and actually 2.0, whatever, for the Southgate Media Group podcast network. I want to keep interest. I want to keep drawing people into it. I want to gather information as to how I can evolve it, but I don't want it to be one and done stuff. And it never was. We always tried to create our stuff so that it wasn't like that. There were only, I want to say, one show, two shows that I can think of that were, it goes out there, it's already not timely, it's gone. Out of 150 some others, you could listen to one today. This just happened. Speaking of Chris, somebody wrote me, I got a fan letter. Yay. I never get those. I got a fan letter. And they were talking about how they loved this show that Chris and I had done together. And they were like, oh my God, like I didn't like the first season. And then all of a sudden, second, but I was staying with it. And then I get to the second season and you and Chris took it over and they loved the two of us together on there. And I wrote them back and I said, oh, did you know we did other shows together? And I gave him a list of some of the things. And one of the shows is a show that was hidden on another show. It was called In Hoff We Trust, and it was all about Deutschland 83, which is about the Berlin Wall. And it was it was a fantastic show, 2 seasons. Chris and I did all the episodes, like talked them out, had a blast with this show. But it was hidden on another network or on another show, so there was no In Hoff We Trust anywhere. Although I have to say, the t-shirt for it, #1 t-shirt that we've sold. People buy this t-shirt all the time because it's a great t-shirt. Never heard the show, right? So I sent this person that show. I'm repurposing this old material. I made new artwork. I put it up on the YouTube channel. Boom. I emailed about it to our newsletter and said, hey, if you guys ever miss this, here's a gem of a show that you might not know existed. Figure out your mix and figure out how you can future-proof it. I'm future-proofing it by gathering emails, using a platform like Substack. Now, Substack, the app would have to close down for it to go away. Here's the thing, though. What you create there are like blog posts and newsletter posts. They don't have to go away. You can tie them together. So when I write a post on Substack, I can write one as a blog post, which is different than a newsletter. And I can say, okay, here's a blog post about a specific subject. It goes out, boom. And I can have it go out to my email list. Then I can also create maybe once a month, once a week, a newsletter format. And I can say, I only want this to go to my paid subscribers or this segment. So I am still creating content, right? I'm still doing the thing, but I'm controlling where it goes, and I own those emails. So if that platform shuts down, who cares? I could take everything I'm doing and just send it out direct through the email stuff, just not use their platform to edit it. If the platform goes away, who cares? You still have the emails. You still have your ability to talk to customers, right? Customers that wanted to talk to you. I am evolving what I'm doing on Substack. Oh, you know what, Jennifer? This is a great question. I'm going to bring this up. Anyway, with Substack, no, forget what I was going to say about Substack. We'll talk about Substack. We've got time. Because that was what the subject I wanted to talk about today, because there's some really interesting things I'm doing. So write down your mix. This is going to help you define a strategy. A strategy is when and where and how much, right? So if you have a list, these are the platforms. Social media is one platform, right? That's when you now have expanded your thinking on what your mix is. So Chelsea, when you ask me what are three, it's like, well, Blue Sky, Facebook groups, and even though you said if Meta goes away, okay, well, if Meta goes away, Blue Sky. Here, I'm going to look at mine. Blue Sky, Reddit, no, three. My top three that I would do today. I would burn everything else to the ground if that was how it was going to go. I would do Blue Sky, so you have kind of a social media, type thing. I would do Pinterest. Absolutely. Pinterest is not a regular social media, even though people kind of treat it that way. It actually is a search engine, and it's almost like a search engine server. So, like, Google can search for things. Their bots go through Pinterest. If you work Pinterest properly, Pinterest can be extremely valuable. Pinterest, Blue Sky, and Substack. That would be my three that I would put my eggs in. Next two would be Reddit and YouTube. And I wish I could say Tumblr because I thought Tumblr was great. But Tumblr, when it changed way back, I didn't love it as much. I know that Maeve and Molly got really into Tumblr for a while, but then when I tried to go in and use it as like a marketing tool, it was a really hard one to use as a marketing tool. Had to be very specific to what it was. There's the mix I would focus on. Now, when I say Blue Sky, you can take what you're creating for Blue Sky and adapt it for any number of social media like Instagram, Facebook, even X, right? I don't know about Red Note, Serena. I don't know. I know people are talking about it, but I don't know. And TikTok, personally, if I look into the future, if I look into my crystal mug, stupid. But if I look into my mug of destiny, I can see it's unlikely TikTok will be a thing that people want to use for marketing anyway. It doesn't mean the platform goes away. It means that it is a poison space for marketing your stuff. Yeah, I know you're laughing, Serena. And you're laughing. Nah. Now I feel like I got to get my crystal ball again. We used to do a thing on This Week in Geek where I was Geekstradamus and I would have predictions. I might have to bring that back. I hope not. There's a coffee cup, the mug of destiny. You know what? Hold on. This has to be written down. I'll tell you why. By the end of the day, there will be a mug of destiny available. I'll post it on our Facebook group. I'll put it on my LinkedIn, and I'll put it on a Substack. Okay? That's amazing. I just got to come up with a design. The name is good, but I got to come up with a design that'll go with that. But there will be one by the end of today. Mark my words. There's another This Week in Geek throwback. I would always say mark my words. They do this, though, Serena. They read coffee grounds. There are people that do that. Or they read the cream in the coffee. Yes. Everyone needs a mug of destiny. Okay. So anyway, did I answer that? I know I've kind of been all over the place with this because there's so much happening and I've got so many thoughts about it. One thing that I am doing is I keep trying to write this stuff for my Substack so that it's getting out there so people can see, like, here's a strategy idea or a mix idea. And I'm trying to share that so that you can take it and apply it to what you do. That's the whole thing. Everything I'm saying is not about how I'm going to market me. It's how you can look at it and go, yeah, I get it. I need to have these things. Now, if you're not a podcaster, if you're like, you know what, this is intimidating and I never want to do it. Okay. Nobody's saying you have to do it. But if your audience is here, maybe. Turns out my audience is two places for this. I've been like experimenting with it. They don't listen to the audio version, but the video version, my numbers are going up. When I do shorts and I put them on YouTube, those get pretty good traction. And I have no idea why. I have no idea what is doing it on there, right? But it is. So I'm following that lead and going, okay, what is it? What is happening here? When I put it on TikTok, it did nothing. When I did it on YouTube Shorts, without promoting it, it worked. Some of our shows, audio is where it's at. Some of them, it's video. Some of the things, it's literally when I write a blog post or whatever. So I want you to think about that for yourself. Instead of going, what are my social media platforms? Make that one of your categories. Come up with maybe 4 categories or 7 categories and say, what are the places that I can market from? When you do that, don't get intimidated by it either. Don't look at it and go, he said a newsletter, but if I'm doing social media every day, I don't have time for a newsletter. Okay, so next to the newsletter, put a dash and say once a month. I talked about how you could do 4 categories, 6 categories in a newsletter. Done. The thing is, and this is something I've experienced over and over, is once you start doing it, once you understand it for yourself, doing a newsletter, doing a blog becomes really easy. I'm doing them faster than I ever thought. I was very intimidated by all that because I was like, I sit and think about things for so long that sometimes it's like, oh man, to write a short blog post, it's eating my head alive. Now it's coming out much quicker. I'm very happy with what I'm doing. I wrote one this week. I wrote like 4 in one sitting, and I got rid of 3 because 3 of them, it was like they weren't right, but it took me no time. I kept the concept of the 3, but I got rid of the 3. I'm like, I don't like how they're written. I don't like what it says. Hey, that worked. Okay, let's talk about Substack. So if you don't know what Substack is, to me, the way I define it to people is it is the blogger's social media. Okay. There are, as with any of these social media things, there are lots of tricks on how you can game it and try to get followers and all that. But it is one that what I'm finding is organically, if you are treating it as a social media, you can really gain good, solid followers. Forget the people that tell you, I'll tell you how to get 10,000 followers. That doesn't, it might work, but you're not going to have 10,000 followers that do what you want with you there. If I have 100 people that are following me, I know that's 100 people that 40% are reading every word I write. That's pretty damn good. So on Substack, the way I started using it is I figured out like kind of almost like articles that I wanted to write. And I was treating it as a blogging platform. So on, I have 2 Substacks right now. Actually, I have one for this. One is Pour Over Marketing is one of the Substacks. The other one is Mic Drop, which is all about podcasting. And when I first did Mic Drop, let's talk about that one. I did a thing, taught like 5 things to improve your podcast. And I wrote an article that said that, and it listed out 5 things, and it was short. Then the next 5 posts I did, step 1. And then I wrote a little bit more about it like a blog post. So it was almost like that first thing was a social media post. 5 things to do, bam, but it didn't explain anything. Post 2, number 1, and then I wrote a blog post. Number 2, wrote another blog post. I have not used it as necessarily a newsletter, even though I tied it to my MailChimp. I said the segment it goes to is anybody that signed up for Mike Drop's newsletter. So when I write them, they push right to those people. On Substack, though, I have a lot of followers now, or I'm gaining followers. And those followers, this is where it becomes more like social media. Number 1, they can share what you've written with their audience. You can get in conversation with people, almost like when you read an article and it has a comment at the bottom, but now they can talk to you. So you can go back and forth. I've had other Substackers that have talked with me. Hey, I liked what you did here. Do you mind if I share it with my audience? And then they write a note that goes along with it. It's great. It's great. So they have added a thing, or at least it's caught fire. I think it was always kind of there, but there's a thing called notes. It's getting used now like, I'll read your thing in a second, Pierre. It's getting used now almost like a social media, but it seems more controlled. So you can do these notes. So I wrote a couple this week, and I found I could do like a short thing. I wrote one on Mic Drop. Said, the microphone that I use is the SM7. I think it's the best podcasting microphone out there. I could add a link where they could buy it. I didn't, because I thought, I'm just going to float this out there. I'm going to throw value out. People ask what mic you use. I get that one a lot. Well, what kind of equipment do I need? What do I need to make it sound like that? Well, you know what? I've been through a lot of mics. And technically, you could use the mic on your phone. You could use the mic on your camera and be fine. You want to up your game. You want to sound more and more professional, which is how I always look at it. Eventually, I got myself here to the SM7 by Shure. Is it the most expensive mic? No. Not a cheap mic. Not the most expensive mic. By far the best mic that I've found, especially when you consider value. And when you consider what podcasting is, right? I did it as a note. All it said, this is what it is, right? Then I wrote another note. Here's my mix of whatever. And it was like this short little thing. It's almost like a Facebook post, right? Those are notes. Some people are using notes and writing more. Some are writing less. But those notes, in a weird way, can go viral. So I was watching this one woman who analyzes Substack. She was somebody who she's like me, and she started like analyzing what was happening, and she was noticing some trends. And she said she noticed with notes that she could write a note, and yeah, it may not get anything, and then she'd write one that was just like, "Hi, I'm Christy, and I help with this," and all of a sudden, boom, 20,000 followers. And she's like, so it's like viral, like it was with TikTok, but it's not. I don't have to dance in front of a thing. I'm just writing my thoughts, but it's people that are attracted to it because they're going, your Substack is about marketing. Your Substack is about art, right? You're a comic book artist. Your Substack is about that. And then your notes are kind of tailored to that world. It's not your personal stuff necessarily, although that might be where you inject a little bit of your personality, right? I'm not sharing pictures of Molly in a play on Substack unless it's part of an article that I'm writing. But people are attracted to that. They're getting information. They're feeling they get to know you. It works. I'm not going to dance, Jennifer. It works like a social media, but it's like it's like the blogger's social media. I'm absolutely in love with it, and I'm loving these notes. I've started using them this week. I'm trying to do at least one regular Substack post for each of those two a week, plus then notes. And I think I'm going to try and do like a note a day, because they're just these little short bite-sized things, but you keep them tailored to what your Substack is about. And then I'm going to craft my newsletter so it is literally a newsletter that I post once in a while. And then what I also love about Substack is as you grow your audience, once you hit 100 or so, you can say, you know what? I've got followers. They're opening my stuff. I'm going to put a barrier to entry to higher level content. So now, let's say I've got the pour over one and it's working really well. I have been sharing some of these videos and posting that as the thing. I might put a transcript. I might put something small. When I put that barrier on, where it's like, hey, $5 a month, subscribe to my Substack at $5 a month. Now I can create content that is a little bit higher. Maybe I do an original podcast for Substack. And if I have 2 followers, I don't care. They're paying, I'm going to dance. See, Jennifer said, please dance. Paying for my Substack, that's how we dance. I love it because I can control everything. I'm not getting ads. I'm not getting propaganda. If I don't like what somebody's sharing from theirs, I ditch it. It's gone. There we go. There's a Substack. Okay, let's address Pierre here. Do you feel Substack moderates well? I heard about the Nazi contributors who were removed thanks to Substacker support. Yeah, I do think it's moderated well. Yeah, these Nazis are something else, right? A lot of fun. And I think that's what we're dancing around here. That's the white whale that we're not really addressing. That's whatever that mindset is infiltrating a lot of this social media. And when we take fact checking off and moderation is not good, that's when thought viruses can get out there. With Substack, yeah, you might have somebody that let's say you have a Substack that is about promoting that stuff. That's up to Substack, okay? If they want to censor it or if they want to allow it through. But the nice thing is with Substack, I don't have to see it. Facebook, it rolls across your stuff. Instagram, it rolls across your stuff. And you're like, I never want to see this guy's face again. I might have to for the next 4 years, but I don't want to be forced. On Substack, I don't have to. I'm in my bubble where it's like, I'm talking about marketing, I'm talking about this, I'm talking about that. And I follow these women that have this podcast thing. They have like 4 or 5 different Substacks that they do, but then they have a little network of other people that they contribute with and they share with. I love all of them. I love reading their stuff. It's great. It's catering to my interests rather than here's a bunch of like me trying to be cool. Here's my fake Instagram life. It's not. They're putting their thoughts down. They're trying to share ideas. If it's a thought virus that I don't want to see, I don't have to see it. Yay. And as far as moderation goes, Pierre, I mean, yeah, they should be removing that stuff. But we get into that ticky-tacky censorship thing like, well, where's the line? I mean, I think Nazi should be the line. I think that's clearly on one side of the line, but that's up to them. It's not going to infiltrate. It's not going to poison the well and get to me unless they change how they do things entirely. So back to Substack. Notes. Get a Substack. Have your thing. Know what you're going to write about. You know how you're using it. If it is going to be like a personal journal, that's okay. But then keep your stuff in that personal journal wave, right? If it's for your business, think about if you were writing a blog for your business, what would it have? And remember, blogs and newsletters are different, even though they're like closely tied and you could technically treat them as the same thing. They're not. The better you get at it, the more you'll start going, this is a blog. This is a newsletter. I can use Substack as my platform for both. Push it out through MailChimp to newsletter subscribers. Or if you just want them to get it from Substack, I have Substack subscribers. When I post something, they get it. When I post a note, I was talking about how I don't have to see the stuff. When I post a note, the only people that see the note are people that go to my homepage and click on notes or people that have subscribed to me. And they're going to get a thing, go into a section that has updates. and you can scroll through it just like you do Facebook. Well, if I don't subscribe to a Nazi Substack, I'm not going to get those notes. And if one slips in there, I know that that person, their Substack is poison. It's gone. I haven't had to do that yet. So I guess their moderation's pretty good, Pierre. The nice thing also is I do have 2 Substacks. I'm thinking about adding a third. I don't know. When you get into the mix of things, I do some stuff on LinkedIn. Now, what I've been doing is sharing my Substack to LinkedIn. Am I writing original content over at LinkedIn? No, because it's kind of become not great. Some of the stuff on there is great. Some of it's terrible. The people I follow, like I'm following businesses, I'm reading their blogs. I really love that. But this level where you and I are sitting, where we're trying to market ourselves and do our thing, I think Substack, I think having a podcast, tying it to your Substack, having, the newsletter Substack, and then having a YouTube channel. And even with that, like we just had a conversation yesterday about, Maeve and I had a conversation about a potential new show that we want to do together, which we haven't podcasted together in a while. The best podcast we ever did was one called Broken to Brave. It was only available. There's the original one, which is these short things where she talks about her journey. If you haven't listened to it, it's really good. But there was a Patreon-only Broken to Brave that lasted for 4 years. And it's just the two of us talking about healing and getting away from toxic people and telling our story, but it's mainly her story. Best podcast we did out of 12 years. I love it. I absolutely love it. I love all 4 seasons. I think it's just a great show. Only available on Patreon. Only available for people that paid. Although anyone listening, if you want to see it, I have some sample pages that I would give out that have like 5 episodes, and every time I send them out, people subscribe to it. So I don't know. I think we might make it so that it might become a Substack. Paid Substack. I don't know. But if you want to hear it, hit me up. All right. It's really very good. Best thing we ever did. So write down your mix. Make social media one category in your mix. Draw lines to how they tie together so you're not having to create 7 pieces of content every day. For most people, that's way too much. How often, this is when you get into strategy, how often am I posting and where can I double post? I write the blog on Substack. I share it to my LinkedIn. I don't share the notes. I only share the Substacks. I put that on my Facebook thing. I create this show. It goes on Facebook. And now I'm starting to repurpose it and put it on the Substack, on the audio version of the show. So so you could go to Spotify and Apple Podcasts and that, get an audio version of this show. I'm thinking of making a short of using the clips, and then I am using the clips, but then eventually making like a short sidecar to this and doing this thing that Maeve and I are talking about. This thing Maeve and I are talking about, we're trying to figure out, where will it live? Will it live on YouTube? Because it's going to be video. Will it only live? I don't think Patreon is the best place for it, but it might. I don't think Facebook is the best place for it. I don't really want it there. Maybe it only lives in a newsletter. You subscribe to our thing, you get these blog posts that tell you these other things. There's a show that you subscribe to, and once a week it gets dropped into your mailbox. So subscribers get it. I don't know. That's what I want you to think about, though. I want you to think about how that works for your business and what you're doing. Make social media one category. Make video content one category. Make writing one category. Do you do live things? How do you do it? And really write down different ways that you can get the word out and think outside of that social media box. And then it won't matter if TikTok goes away, if Meta goes away. Who cares? Because you're future proofed. You are in 10 areas and you're in some areas. Like YouTube could go away. If you're putting all your eggs into the YouTube basket, well, guess what? They change the algorithm. All of a sudden, no followers, or you can't make money at it, or you're no longer allowed to say blank. Well, where can you? You can say it through your email. You can say it through your newsletter. Don't put all the eggs in one basket. Figure out what is kind of a mix and ask yourself the questions. Does this feel like it could be future proofed? Because that is really, really important. This show, I mean, I do it here. It streams on YouTube. It streams on Facebook. I've been putting it as an edited show on the YouTube channel for New Media Lab and sending out in the Substack. Put it on LinkedIn. I'm repurposing it. But where is it going to land? If Facebook starts to become a cesspool, do I want it going to Facebook? If my audience is there, well, maybe. But how many of you watch it on Facebook or click on the StreamYard link and watch it there, or click on YouTube and watch it there? What I'm seeing is a very interesting trend. When I post it to YouTube, the watches, they're not watching it live. They're not watching it on Facebook. When I look at where the traffic is coming from, it's not coming from there. It's coming from a post on LinkedIn. They click on it and they watch it on YouTube, or they watch it on an embedded video on the website. Very interesting. And your website is so important. If you don't have a landing page, you need to figure this out. You need a landing page, and you need to either figure out SEO, which is a tricky thing, or you need to hire somebody to make it SEO friendly. And we can do some SEO talking. In fact, we're going to on one of these episodes. We're going to talk about like specifically what you can do with your website, because there's another future-proof thing. If you have a website, a landing page that has SEO embedded in it, even when the algorithms change, you can always change things, but there's certain truths that are going to be there. If you have alt tags on your pictures, if you have words, keywords embedded in there, you know what? Even when they change, it's still going to have a little bit more value than it does on vaporware, like your postings on Facebook. There's nothing that can crawl your stuff on Facebook. Even when hashtags started getting used on Facebook, it's not the greatest search method on there. It was way better on Twitter. Still not great on Facebook. But if you get your website right, you get that website right, people go into Google and Yahoo or whatever they're using now. Google is mostly it. And they'll type in small business marketing podcast. If you've done your job right, you should pop up one or two, or at least on that first page for that. And if you're not there, what can we do to the SEO to change it? Website is part of the mix. I don't know if I mentioned that, but that is 100% part of the mix. And it can just be a landing page or a page that has a couple of different pages to it, where maybe you post, you have a thread that has, images in that, but then you also have a blog page. And then you figure out how to add keywords to that so it becomes highly searchable. Your newsletter goes on there. I always tell people, make a newsletter archive. And then go in and put some H1 tags, H2 tags. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. And make it highly searchable. Because now, to Google's algorithm, even when their algorithm changes, if you're doing that, it's going to view you as this is an expert place for this. They actually talk about marketing. They actually talk about small engine repair. They actually talk about, line art, because their blog posts all have these H1 tags in them. Puts you higher in the search algorithm, even when the algorithms change. The little tricks that everybody freaks out about. There are ways to future-proof all that stuff. And if you don't know them, hire somebody like me. Go to Fiverr and hire somebody. The biggest thing I've had lately is people saying, okay, you do this consultation, you do this coaching. They want a free session. Sign up for a free session with me. we'll talk about your situation and try to figure out your mix. I'll give you options, tell you how it works. And then we can get down to the business of actually making your stuff work without it eating your life. That's the thing that people get scared about with all this social media stuff is they think, oh my God, I get into social media or I get into now I'm making videos and I'm making blogs and I'm like, how do I have time for my business or for my life or for my family? Well, okay. You got to figure out that page first, just like a goals list. You got to make your goals. And then we can prune and we can draw the lines as to where, maybe one piece of content that you do can filter out to everything. And now that one piece of content, a couple hours a week, you all of a sudden look like this robust poster across all these things off of one piece of content. An hour, 2 hours a week on a Sunday morning, you might be a freaking rock star. So if you want to do that kind of thing, reach out to me. We could do a free session. I'd love to. All right. That's it. We hit 9:01. I will be back next week. Hopefully I'll have a big announcement. Hopefully. Chris, thank you for joining me. Chris Puppet. That's not Chris. We call him the Chris Puppet. Look, he's even got a Doctor Who logo on his shirt. I was looking up, this is so lame. I was looking up baby onesies with the Doctor Who logo. I was like, should I put a onesie on him? I love it. All right, you guys, thank you so much. And Jennifer, I'll send you a link to that show when we're done. Chelsea, I hope I answered your questions. All right. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a great week. Have a great day. Stay warm. Stay safe. Insulate yourself from all the craziness. Let's get down to business. My cup says we all will. Oh, I'm going to make that mug today. The mug of destiny. Bye, guys.